Greetings, this is September 2nd and we are looking at a young eagle enjoying the day and enjoying the view out at Centennial Beach looking southeastwards. And that's out in Tsawwassen and a great place to visit if you like big wide open views and a lot of blue sky most of the time. So let's jump over to Windy. Here we are, central interior, 14 kilometers an hour coming from the southwest. And likewise 13 kilometers an hour from the southwest west over towards the Vedette area. Then in the center there's these patches, wind's not moving very fast. Here we're looking at 2 kilometers from the southwest in the Shuswap area. So what's happening is the wildfires that are out in the central area, here around François Lake, Tweedsmuir, they're blowing smoke into the southern interior on a big wide arc. If we look at a forecast for the central interior, you should be having peak wind gusts right about now, dying off into the evening, and then it's going to calm down for the rest of this 5-day forecast. A little bit of moisture coming in the late afternoons, and most of the wind will be in the mid-afternoon. And generally it's getting a little bit cooler. Peaks are going to be between 18, 20 degrees at the heat of the day. But we're into the season, so it's going to be chillier at night, maybe down to 2 degrees. Looking at the lightning monitor, nothing much at all. There was some spots out by Lake Superior. And the MODIS system on NASA's World View, not showing a lot of infrared right now. There is that cloud cover, but here's that arc that's rolling from west to east, and there's Tweedsmuir on the left-hand side of your screen, where most of the smoke is coming from, and then it flows over Williams Lake and down into the Shuswap, where they're getting the most buildup on these images, which came out yesterday. And meanwhile, down in Castlegar, they're getting some smoke from those fires that are burning to the south end of Arrow Lake. And we can see the flow here going from west to east. There's some variation as you get into the southern interior. We are now jumping into an image from the NRC. This is looking at the last 24-hour period shot taken early this morning, just showing what heat was still being visible after a cool night. And here's the last 12 hours, so not a lot. Going to the south end of Arrow Lake towards Castlegar, there's the main pockets of intensity. We're looking at all the new spots in the last 12 hours, and there's everything burning in the last 24 hours. So still a degree of heat coming out of that region, though there's no movement eastwards. And just to remind any new viewers, go to the BC wildfire map, the link is below, and check on your area, see if there's any new starts, and you can link to descriptions of what crews are doing and what's the status of the fire in your area. And right now we are looking at an image of the area around Vernon, Shuswap, Kamloops, and even though you're getting a lot of that smoke, there's no infrared showing up there right now. We're pulling back, looking at the central interior. There's Tweedsmuir just to the left of center. The fire's near Clean below center, and then up above center is around Fraser Lake, the Shovel Lake fire, and then to the right of center are the fires near Nazko. We'll zoom into the region between François Lake and the Nechako Reservoir. It's almost like a peninsula there. There's so many bodies of water, and we can see over the last 24 hours there's still pockets of fire to the south of Binta Lake, to the south of Cheslatta, but then going to the last 12 hours, a lot of new infrared disappears. So a good sign that it's cooling. We're probably into a smoldering phase in many of those pockets, but there may also be ignitions going on. And I've noticed that 3 new spots popped up near Cheslatta. And this is a good example of how these infrared hotspots can be off 500 meters, 750 meters. So we can see some in the lake. Obviously they're not there. So infrared gives us an indication if heat is perceptible and what is the general area it might be. So here's around Nazko, the last 24 hours, and then rolling into the latest 12 hours, a significant reduction in the amount of new heat being generated. But of course, with afternoon winds, that can pick up. Now we're going to the NRC M3 data. This is a look at that same region between François Lake, the Nazko Reservoir. It's a different data set. This one actually shows more detail in the landscaping and the elevation lines, and you can find the link for this below. Looking at their chart of fire danger, interesting that much of the province is cooling. We're seeing a lot of blue areas, but Vancouver Island, the southern portion of the island, is showing the most extreme danger for wildfire hazard. The hazard level is also high for this region in the central interior where most of that infrared's coming from. We can see those spots down to the south near Castlegar and in Washington State. But I'm going to take a jump to 1 year ago today, looking at the state of the province in infrared. There were a lot of fires in the southern interior, along the Rockies, down towards the south end of Manning Park, up west of Williams Lake, west of 100 Mile House, and of course the Elephant Hill fire, central in this image. South of Green Lake, Pressy Lake were under threat, and around Hyheim there was a lot of buildup there, and the fire was moving eastwards along the Rayfield River and moving towards Sheridan. It was about to make a leap there. Similar conditions, the fire would smolder and then the southwest winds would come in and blow it further. The fire was moving quite quickly in that plateau region. And by this time last year, that fire had almost been going 2 months. And here we are today. This is the Big Bar Cam from Drive, BC. It looks more overcast, the fairly good visibility. And now we're rolling into the area around Falkland, a little bit of haze in the air there. Kalamalka near Vernon looks really good, quite a nice day. And then to the south of Williams Lake, some rain, I believe, moisture, it looks like on the asphalt. That's Highway 97, about 35 kilometers south of Williams Lake. I'm also going to suggest there's some haze in the background there to the left of your screen. So it's back to normal BC weather where everyone's getting their own conditions. We're a complex of microclimates. Now we're going to jump just to the north of François Lake. This is on Highway 16 looking west at Savory. This is in the morning. There was some haze in the air. And then as we roll into this afternoon, it clears up. There's some puffy clouds. It's starting to look nicer. That's because most of that smoke is going to the southeast. But it is beautiful country up there. I see this picture and I just want to get on my motorbike and take that road. Believe it or not, we are still in wildfire season. It's September 2nd. I think there's still a state of emergency for the entire province. You might want to check on the wildfire site for that. But it's cooler, and we should get a reprise of summer. This usually happens after the wee ones get back to school, and then summer comes back for a couple of weeks. So it's not over yet, and we should have some fair weather, chance to get out, play around, and do some catch-up. Thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate all your comments and your viewership through all this. It feels like a big family, and we'll check back and see what things look like as the season progresses. And keep your nose to the breeze. It's going to start smelling like apple pie season soon.